If you've ever found an herb that you just absolutely love and it works beautifully for you, you might want to learn how to turn that herb into a tincture. So while I love herbal teas for all the things, and I teach you guys how to make teas all the time, tinctures actually take the properties that we get in a tea and they concentrate it and they make a much stronger version. So today I'm going to teach you how to make some tinctures. Welcome back to Grace Walk Farm and to my chaotic kitchen. I was in the middle of getting some chores done and a friend called and she was asking for a specific tincture, and I went and I checked my supply and I realized that I'm getting incredibly low on tinctures. Now, I do not sell tinctures. I don't offer them on my website. I know you guys will ask that. But what I do want to do is teach you how to make a tincture, because this is an important little preparation to know as you start to use herbs. So when we think about tinctures, here's what we want to compare them to. You may be familiar with herbal teas, right? This is Heart to Heart tea, one of our best sellers. It helps with supporting cardiac health, helps support balanced cholesterol, blood pressure, all that stuff. And this one has been a hit. Everybody loves it, including my sweet husband, Josh, who is using this every single day. But I'm going to tell you the truth. Josh just doesn't love drinking tea. Now, he will drink it. He likes this one. He's been faithful to drink it once a day. But I'm curious, if we tinctured this particular tea blend for heart health and he tried it as a tincture, number one, the effect should be stronger. But number two, he should need to take a much smaller quantity. So instead of him trying to drink several cups of tea each day, he can take a dropper full of the tincture, literally about a teaspoon, and that will give him an even stronger medicinal dose of these herbs. So why is that the case? Well, tinctures work differently. When we make a tea, we are extracting the constituents of the herbs, all the things that make them work, and we are extracting it into water. But water can only pull out some constituents of plants. There are other constituents that are best pulled out by vinegar, or by honey, or by a glycerin, or by alcohol. And of all of the different solvents or liquids that you can use with herbs to kind of pull out their medicinal properties, alcohol-based tinctures are the strongest and they can pull out the most constituents. And so when we're trying to make some kind of like serious herbal remedy, I always turn to tinctures. Now you can make tinctures with alcohol, or you can make tinctures without alcohol by substituting glycerin. However, you need to know that glycerin does not extract the same constituents. And so what I have found in using both is an alcohol-based tincture just tends to work better. The effect is stronger, you take less of it. And now I know one of you is going to say the same sassy thing that a family member said to me. Now I grew up, you need to know, I grew up a teetotaling Southern Baptist, okay? There was no alcohol involved anywhere in my childhood. We didn't even keep cough medicine in the house, okay? So using alcohol as an herbalist took some learning curve for me, because number one, I had to question, is it okay to use alcohol? And when I studied that out, I determined yes. If I'm using it medicinally in these tiny quantities, yes. But a sassy family member, when she heard I was making tinctures, said, well, I'm sure people do feel better if they're taking shots of vodka all day long. Well, taking a tincture is not taking a shot of vodka. In fact, it's nowhere close, because a dose of a tincture is usually about a teaspoon. And I'm sorry, but if a teaspoon of vodka is getting you drunk, we got bigger fish to fry than the fact that you're drinking a teaspoon. So I want you to put that fear out of your mind right from the start. You're not getting drunk off tinctures. However, if you are in recovery and you are on a sober living journey, first of all, I'm so proud of you. Second of all, you can do the glycerites. The effect might not be as strong, but you can use more of it, take it more frequently, and in a higher dosage. You're still going to get more effects than you would get from a tea. So today we're going to make a tincture. And I'm going to start by showing you an alcohol tincture, And then I will link for you in the description below a video I did about how to make tinctures with no alcohol that would be completely safe for children, people in recovery, for really anyone. But the process is exactly the same. We're just going to sub out vegetable glycerin for the alcohol. So today, here's what we're making. We're going to make a heart-to-heart tincture. Now, my heart-to-heart tea blend is designed for cardiac health, like I mentioned. And if you haven't seen some of the reviews, go to herbswithgrace.com, click on Heart to Heart Tea, and just read the reviews. We are getting some incredible feedback from people that are going and having lab work done after drinking this consistently, and they're seeing massive improvements. I cannot give you any medical advice. This is all for entertainment and educational purposes only, but you should go read those comments and those reviews and then decide for yourself. But I love this tea blend. We keep this one in stock all the time. The ingredients of this one are hibiscus, wonderful for heart support, but also really good for the liver, and that's what's helping us target cholesterol. Peppermint also has some good qualities that help with cholesterol balance. Tulsi is the balancer of all things, and so of course we include it in here. It's a helpful adaptogen herb, meaning it helps the body adapt to stress. We have rosemary, which helps with cognitive health, nettles, which are full of just minerals to nourish the body, and then hawthorn berry, which is the best herb when it comes to cardiac health for anything heart related. So this blend, it tastes delicious. It's a little bit minty, but it's also got a little bit of like a fruity kind of blend to it from the hibiscus. Hibiscus has a bit of a cranberry type taste, so it's kind of tart, sweet, minty. It's a good flavor tea. Now, to turn it into a tincture, all you're going to need is your herbs, so you can make your own tea blend. You can go back and look. I have a video where I show how I made this blend, but we're going to use a pre-made bag. You can also order a pre-made bag like this from herbswithgrace.com. So my bags come with 2 cups of tea. This is exactly what you get in the mail when you order from me. And you're not going to need all of this to make a tincture. So I'm going to make a 1 quart tincture. So here's my jar, and a quart is 4 cups. So when I make tinctures, I do a 1-to-4 ratio, 1 part herbs, and then the rest of the way I fill with alcohol. A lot of herbalists will teach you a 1-to-5 ratio for tincture making. Ultimately, I'm not going to debate this because it is just a matter of preference. Like, there is no magical scientific reason why I do 1-to-4. It's just the way I learned to do it. It's the way I've always done my tinctures. They turn out good. I love them. People I share them with love them. So why change it if it's working? So we're doing 1-to-4. So basically, we're going to measure out a cup or half of our bag into this quart jar. And I'm just going to eyeball it. You don't have to be real specific here. But we want to fill it about a quarter of the way. So if you get a bag, you're going to use half of it for your tincture. And then you're still going to have a cup there that you can use to make loose leaf tea. If you just do a teaspoon per cup of tea, that's going to last you probably a month. So tea and tincture, all for one. Okay, so we've got our jar filled just this much. Now we're going to add our alcohol. So when I make tinctures, I prefer to work with vodka. You do not need to go and get the most expensive vodka. It does not matter. What does matter is you want to look preferably for something organic. That's important because we're making medicine. We want everything processed cleanly. And then you want to make sure that it is at least 80 proof or 40% alcohol by volume. Here in America, we say 80 proof, but sometimes in other countries, I know that tends to confuse folks. Look for 40% alcohol by volume. And then once you have your herbs in your jar, we're going to just fill it the rest of the way up with vodka. And I'm going to try to do this carefully so as not to show the label, because this is not sponsored and I don't want to be sponsored by any alcohol companies, because this is the only way we use it in my house. So let me turn where you're not seeing any kind of a label, and we're just going to pour it right in. And I'm going to fill this up until we have just about an inch of empty space at the top. We want to leave a little room at the top, but whoo, it smells strong. So when using tinctures, they are strong. So you want to always start low and go slow. And the way you can take a tincture, it depends on how much of a woman you are or how much of a man you are. So the best way, in my opinion, to take a tincture is to place the drops directly under your tongue. So once your tincture is finished, you're going to store it in like a little amber dropper bottle that comes with the little dropper. And what I like to do is squeeze the dropper and fill it up, and then literally drop and count. And I'll start with 5 drops as a starting dose. And if that's not enough, we'll do 10. If that's not enough, we'll do 15. I stop at 15 drops. And then you can repeat up to 5 times a day. We're talking drops, okay? Teensy tiny drops. So here you can see, let me move that out of the way. Here you can see the beginnings of our tincture. So I've left that much space empty at the top. And now we're going to put a lid and a ring on. Now, in case anybody wants to know, I use the lids from 4 Jars USA. And I have a coupon code for them. If you want to use code GRACE, I'm going to double check this and I'll put it in the description. But I'm pretty sure the code is GRACEWALK10 and it will save you 10% on anything. They have a lot of supplies. They have jars, lids, rings, tons of food preservation things that we use. But I also just love their lids. They are my favorite of all the brands and I use them all the time. So we give it a good shake. And that's literally it. We made a tincture. Now, the rest of the process is really just time. So you want to set this really ideally in a cool, dark place. So inside of a cabinet, but I'm going to be so honest with you, I do not put mine in a cool, dark place, even though that's how they teach you to do it. I put it right on my kitchen counter because if I put it in a cabinet, I'm going to forget about it. And what we want to do is shake it like every day or two and just kind of keep it stirred up and make sure those herbs stay under the top of the liquid. And if I put this thing inside of one of my kitchen cabinets, let's just be honest, you and I both know I'm going to forget it's in there. And so I've done this and then discovered one a year later that I forgot I had made and I was like, oh no. If that happens, just know alcohol is a majorly good preservative. And that's why tinctures are the most shelf-stable way you can use herbs. A good tincture, if it's prepared properly with clean utensils and fully dried herbs, this can last upwards of 5 to 15 years if stored properly. So these are long-lasting remedies if you make them well. So a quart of this will likely serve my family for, I'm going to say a year, maybe 6 months. We'll see how Josh does if he likes it. But I make a quart of several of my tea blends as tinctures this time of year. Another one you might want to consider making into a tincture is Flu Balm. That is my favorite tincture and it is one we do not approach winter without. I actually will make like a gallon of Flu Balm tincture in August, so it will be setting. We want to let this sit for at least 4 to 6 weeks. I tend to go 8 weeks. So if I start it in early August, then it will be ready in October, right in time for when the cold and flu season hits. So my Flu Balm tincture is one that is so incredibly effective if you take it as soon as you start to feel that first tickle of sickness. And the tea works really well for this too, but I have found the tincture works even faster. So again, not medical advice, but if you've tried Flu Balm tea and you loved it, you could turn it into a tincture. Now, I told you the best way to take these is with dropper bottle just right under your tongue. But what if the taste is just too terrible? Okay, so ideally you're going to put a few drops under your tongue. You're going to hold it there for 10 seconds at least, 10, 15. and then you're going to swallow, and you can chase it. You can drink something to get the taste out of your mouth. The reason we're doing that is it absorbs sublingually and you feel the effects faster. This is especially important if you're making like a tincture for panic attacks. Like, you could tincture my cup of calm tea and it would make a more fast acting something you could take when you're feeling anxious or stressed or you need to calm down quickly. But if you can't tolerate the taste, you can take that tincture dose and you can put it in a little small like shot glass full of juice. Just put it in the juice and drink it. If that's the only way you can get it down, it'll still work, but it's just not going to work as quickly. So 2 different ways you can take tinctures, but I would encourage you to give this one a try. If you don't want to do an alcohol tincture, that is totally okay. You never get any judgment from me when it comes to that. But you could do a glycerin tincture and use glycerite instead. So I'll link a video for you below on how to make a glycerite if you want to try that method. But either way, I want to encourage you to choose your favorite herb or your favorite tea and turn it into a tincture this week. If you're not sure where to start, choose one of the tea blends out of my shop. Some of the favorites that we have offered as tinctures here locally to the community are my Cup of Calm as a tincture is great, Flu Balm, of course, Deep Breath for respiratory support for allergies and asthma. We have Hormone Harmony. It's a wonderful one for all ages and stages of women. The only time you would not want to use Hormone Harmony is during pregnancy, but you can begin it immediately postpartum. And then the other one that I'm really excited to tincture is Gentle Cleanse. So you can see I'm about to need to refill my jar. Gentle Cleanse is my favorite blend for pain and inflammation. This is my favorite tea. This is the one that I drink pretty much every single day, but I've actually never tried it as a tincture. I developed this one back in January of this year, and I've not done any tincture making. I usually only make tinctures once a year in the fall. So it's time, and we're gonna try this as a tincture, and then we'll come back this fall, and I'm gonna take it, and I'll let you know how it works for me. I don't deal with a ton of pain and inflammation like I used to with Lyme. When I had Lyme disease, my joints were what hurt all the time. I mean, just chronic, constant pain. 98% of that has resolved, and I actually went and got tested for Lyme again 2 weeks ago. I get rechecked every 6 months. I am still negative. I am still in remission. Praise God. You know, I had a doctor tell me one time, you can't get well from Lyme. It's just going to come back. Well, we are going on 4 years since I found out I had Lyme, and 3 years that I have remained in remission. It took a total of 11 months for me to get there, but it was worth the fight. And herbs were such a big part of that. But the one remaining symptom that I have left behind is it's twofold. One part is my nervous system is still a struggle, and that's not just from the Lyme disease, although there is some research showing a link between having Lyme for a long time and problems with your nervous system. But also that can be some things from childhood. It can be a number of things. And I've been through some hard things in my life. I've shared parts of my story with you. The hardest parts of it I haven't even shared here yet. And, you know, the body keeps the score. So for me, where I feel that a lot is I have hip pain. And my hips will hurt a lot, and I'm trying all the things to help strengthen the muscles and, you know, kind of help it before I get any older, but I'm having some hip troubles. And so Gentle Cleanse is my go-to when my hips hurt, and I just sip it all day long, and it really, really helps. So I'm excited to see if in tincture form it will be even more effective for pain and inflammation. So I hope this gives you some ideas. This is not a fancy video with any fancy cuts, but I just wanted to hang out with you in the kitchen for a few minutes and show you how I make a tincture. So I'm going to label this so we will remember this is heart to heart tincture. We're going to let it sit for 6 to 8 weeks, and then we're going to strain it. And all of the herbs at that point will pour into the compost pile, and the liquid that is left is our tincture. And that's all there is to it. That's how you make a tincture. So give this a try. If you've never made an herbal tincture, this is your week, and I want you to give it a go. And I hope you will continue to reach for herbs. They are truly God's greatest gifts. I have been so deep into studying as I prepare for our school to launch this fall, and I want you to know the more I know, the more amazed I am at God's divine design in all of this. And I am so excited to bring you into this herbalism school where we can deep dive and really talk about some things without worrying about getting in trouble with social media platforms for what's said. We're going to talk real openly, and we're gonna filter everything through the lens of Scripture. So Daughters of Eve School of Herbalism is set to open October 5th, but pre-registration will open in mid-August. So watch for that information. I will have you next week in our video. I will have a link for you where you can go ahead and start to find some information and details. But we are well on our way to having this ready for you, and it will be open to students worldwide. It's virtual. You'll be able to attend from the comfort of wherever you live, and we're going to study herbs and God's good gifts together. So stay tuned, and I will see you next week for another lesson in herbs that heal. Go make some tinctures.